Here we are with the Football in Focus. So the Tee Up Indoors on Battleground. Tee Up Indoors best golf in town. The Davis Troxler golf team is here. Got Mike Fanning, he's here. Mike's back again this week. From what you were able to see last week, did Grims do anything wrong the last Friday night?
No. No. I mean, all three phases, they continue just outstanding play. Yeah, as, you know, the season wound down and then into the playoffs, they're really doing all the little things right. You know, outside of maybe committing a few penalties and helping a Sun Valley drive extend maybe a little bit farther than it should in the second quarter. Now, everything coming up roses right now for the Whirlies.
Mitchell Summers looks like he's trying to rewrite the record books. Now 35 touchdowns on the season.
Yeah, over 1,700 yards rushing. And Andy, on GreensboroSports.com, I wrote a 3 Things to Watch article before the Sun Valley game, and one thing I talked about was Sun Valley was not very good against the pass. All season long, teams were able to throw the football against Sun Valley. So we knew kind of going into the game, hey, what were they going to do? Nickel, they're going to drop extra guys into coverage, try to tighten up those windows, maybe try to, you know, make things a little tougher in the passing game. Well, they did. They did. They read my article. They took that advice. They dropped more guys back. Guess what? Only 5 in the box. And Mitchell Summers and the Greensboro Grimsley offense identifies that, and they put Summers in the pistol, and it was some of the best running I've seen out of him all year.
Interesting about him, he's got close to 2,000 yards now. He's got that, we talked about 1769, close to 2,000. And he's got 35 touchdowns. He's got less yards than last year, but 10 more touchdowns than last year. So his numbers are going up scoring-wise. Yards-wise down a little bit, but still on pace for that 2,000 yards. Plus he's doing so much, he's getting people's attention. I mean, he's had the big games. Remember that game against Page, the big game, now the big game here?
Absolutely.
Big games.
You know, and they feel so comfortable with him, you know, the ball in his hands, you know, inside the 30-yard line. You know, he's somebody who can obviously break it open with one play, but he can also just, hey, you need 3 for the first down, he can get you 4. You know, he's shown that, you know, he's a wrestler as well. He's shown the core strength.
Is he on a wrestling team?
Well, he was last year. I don't know if he's going to wrestle this year, but
like that.
You know,
That's a good point.
Yeah, he shows that core to go get the tough yards as well as not only the flashy plays. And I think these stats, when you talk about the Whirlies, are a little misleading because how many times have we seen the backups in come halftime? You know, these scores have gotten so lopsided. It's tough to compare stats, especially with the club they're going to get ready to play in Hough, kind of the same way. Their starters they don't play all game.
It's so varied with Hough. I mean, they got like 5 guys with 424 yards each. That's how it goes with them.
Yeah, you know, it's a new offensive look for Hough than what we saw last year. Last year, Hough, they had a different coach. They had different players. It was a double overtime game in Greensboro. It was a very, very exciting game, but a lot of new faces on the Huskies side. So with a new coach, you know, so you see their offense, at least on paper, it's very balanced. Except maybe at their quarterback position. He doesn't throw for the kind of yards. He's not the kind of quarterback that's going to go 90 yards in a 2-minute drill like we see Faison Brandon do. Right. He's not the, you know, if the Whirlies can flip field position, this is one of the things I put on the website today. Everything I've talked to about Dale Brown this week, it's not necessarily scoring points, it's flipping field position. You know, if a couple first downs, move the sticks, make them go 80 yards every single time to get points. That's not what this Hough offense is all about.
Well, you may have answered my other question earlier because I'm talking about Mitchell Summers getting all those yards, all those touchdowns. He's a smaller guy, about 160 maybe 5'8.5" or 5'7" or 5'6" or even smaller. Anyway, small guy. How does he get it done? He's so small, but you said he's a wrestler, so I think they answered a lot of that right away.
Yeah, absolutely. The offensive line does a great job blocking for him up front. And when they move him into the pistol formation and he gets a head of steam before he even touches the football like he did last week, then he's to the second level. Then he's to the linebacking group, and there it's just a cut, a spin,
takes a little small space, and boom, the guy's right through it, and he's taking off. He's to the next level.
Absolutely. He has perfected the art of the stiff arm. One of the best high school running backs using that stiff arm, able to break free. A couple great stiff arms last week to score from 22 yards out. So, you know, he's somebody so dangerous when he's out in space, and they give him to him in the pistol look like they did last week. He gets a head of steam, and he can obviously turn it into big yards.
The way to stop that stiff arm, if you're a defensive player, I've only got one suggestion. This is kind of a crude or rude or maybe mean or absurd, but anyway, stop the stiff arm, break the arm. You got to grab the arm, you got to break it. I mean, we didn't see it much back in my day, but I've seen it a lot. And you got to grab that arm and try to break that arm off. You can't let that guy keep putting an arm in your face if you're a defender, because you can only take so much after a while. It's like a slap in the face. Back to another question quick though for you.
Yeah.
Grimsley Whirlies, all said about Summers and Taylor and also Anderson and Faison Brandon. Who was the MVP on this team today?
Oh man, you're gonna make me you're gonna make me name names
you
right now.
You may have to go A, B, C, and D or whatever. Who's the MVP right now in your mind?
You know, I've been so impressed with the.
You may flip the script on us and go completely to the other side of the ball. I don't know.
First of all, I love this defense. Yeah. You know, and they got so many guys that.
Well, you said you're happy about what Deon McLaughlin did. Very happy about that.
Deon McLaughlin comes up with a pick 6 last week. It's a very smart defense. I guess that's what's so impressive is, you know, they do their work during the week, and they come out, and it's just like another day in the office. You know, I mean, they do all the little things really well. You know, they're reading the quarterback's eyes. They play the play action very well. You know, they can hold their lane assignments on these RPOs. So they do all the little things very well on defense. Ja'Kai Eason, if you're going to make me name names, I'm going to go on that side of the football.
Yeah.
Ja'Kai Eason, been a little bit of a surprise with Bryce Davis out. We knew he was good, but, you know, double-digit sacks, tackles for losses. It's forcing – he's one of those guys, okay, you got to know where he's going to line up. You can't run at him. He's been such a force on defense. And then the secondary with Young and Sellers and, you know, Christian Barrett's played fantastic. And the linebacking core as a group is fantastic. I think on the offensive side, though, one of the question marks we had going in with – you know, a new starting quarterback. He had experience, yes, but putting the ball in the air, feeling comfortable to run any play on any down. I guess last week, I'm not going to pick a season MVP for this club, but last week, Faison Brandon's arm converted a couple big third downs, a 3rd and 11 and a 3rd and 13 in the first half. Made the right read, made the perfect throw on a comeback route to Alex Taylor. He's a sophomore. They really trust him to make the right read, make the right throw on long third downs. You know, that was a question mark we had going into the season. We knew Mitchell Summers was going to be fantastic. We know what these wide receivers can do in space. How are they going to distribute the football? You know, and when you say, okay, quarterback, go back there, make me a play,
right,
and deliver like he did last week, it's yeah.
It kind of gets me thinking about C.J. Stroud with the Texans. I was about him today. I said, he is the Rookie of the Year. He could be the MVP of the year, the Player of the Year. He might be the most improved player start of the season to the end of the year. He could qualify for all those awards. Kind of the same way with Faison Brandon, he's developing now, though.
Well, I don't think it should really surprise anybody.
People knew going in what he had as far as the physical layout goes. He had the height, he had the weight, he had the speed, all those crazy things. They just wanted to see it in action on more reps, and he got all those reps, and he's showing he can handle it.
I guess, yeah. You know, knowing him as an athlete and as a person, you can definitely tell he's got the moxie to be a starting quarterback. It's just the fact that 3rd and 13, we trust you with the football to make the right read and make the right throw in a playoff game. We're not just going to run it and punt, you know, which some teams this time of year, when the Grimsley defense has been playing like it has been, you know, and you don't necessarily want to commit turnovers, quarterback, here's the ball, here's the play, go run it. And they did time and time again last week. And it's really surprised me. Like I said, it shouldn't, but I think it's really surprised me to say, hey, look how much he has developed this year.
Maybe you shouldn't bring this up right now. Things are going so good, you don't want to kind of go in a different direction. But is Bryce Davis going to play this season?
I think so. Following him on Twitter, well now X. You know, he's in the recovery process right now. He's getting a little bit of work in. I wouldn't call it you know, could we still see him, you know, down the stretch? Yeah, I think.
Weird thing is, if he doesn't play football, will he play basketball? I wonder. Is he going to just in a football season just try to get back in football shape, stay in football shape, or will he switch over and play basketball too? I wonder.
Yeah.
A lot of questions left to be answered there. You look at Hough, what makes him so tough? You know a little bit about Nolan Hauser, the kicker. I mean, it's like, from my standpoint, Hauser is almost like the most notable name in the entire team because of all he's done with his foot. And I know we've got other guys too. Mentioned a lot of players, a lot of balance on this team, offense, quarterback, and the running backs, receivers. But boy, Hauser is a big name on this team.
Well, when you're the most prolific high school kicker of all time, you should get some mentions. You know, they play on AstroTurf down there. That certainly helps the average when you talk about the fact that he's made some 52-yard field goals. Made a big one last year against Grimsley as well. He's very composed. His mom played soccer at Clemson.
He's going to Clemson.
And he's going to Clemson. So the big leg runs in the family. And again, that's why, as I mentioned, flipping field position is so key. You give him an opportunity, he can make long kicks. Yep. They can get into scoring position very quickly with a name like him. And then I think for Hough, I'm really looking at the defensive side of the football. They got two great defensive ends that can really wreak havoc in the backfield. You know, they're going to try to probably speed Faison Brandon up a little bit by bringing some blitzes. These are two dynamic defensive ends that we really, you know, the Whirlies really haven't seen much of this year.
Could make a difference. Grimsley comes out hot on Friday, start the build, and they head toward the finish. What do you think about that? Grimsley and Dudley, both in the situation, have not had to win games in late game situations. They had pretty good leads. They hadn't had to really play in that, you know, last 2-3 minutes of the game. They've not been in close games. Getting that close game situation, Grimsley's got the pressure, got the stress. How do they handle this?
You talk about close games. I think the Whirlies average for, you know, winning average is like 41 points. They've won, you know, every contest by an average of 41 points. So you're right. They haven't played in a lot of close games. They played in some close first halves. And when I've talked to the guys on the defense, they're really kind of looking forward to getting lathered up and playing 4 quarters and really going to work. You know, I think it's been a goal for them all year.
They want to play the whole game for a change, too, because so many times they get the lead, the reserves come in, they want to play 4 quarters.
Believe it or not, I think it's like, we've been waiting for this. They've been sitting around waiting, going, look, we want to show what we can do for 4 quarters. We're up to the challenge. Everybody's saying, you know, we only play a half. And I do think the fact that you've seen Grimsley roll these second halves, these guys are fresh.
Yeah.
These guys are ready to go. They're healthy. And, you know, I know a lot of people have said, hey, you know, you want the experience. You want the experience of playing in close games. I'm going to take the fresh legs right now because the attitude, it's so businesslike. You know, this is, by the way, Andy, this is a very experienced group. They went to the state championship last year. They know what playing. Most of these guys played last year through all the overtime games last year. So it's not like they haven't been there. But yeah, I think they got a chip on their shoulder right now. They want to see what they can do for 4 quarters.
Anticipation. Does Grimsley come out to a fast start tomorrow night? Or do you think it's going to take a little while to kind of build as the game goes on? It's a much tougher team than they played in the past, so the fast start may not be there for them. And sometimes they haven't gone to a fast start anyway. That's not always been their MO during the season. So about tomorrow night.
Yeah, 3 times this year, you know, they've fallen behind only to answer right back with scores. You know, again, what can Hough do to really get them thrown off on offense? It's an execution game. If Grimsley, they have all this talent, right? If they execute their game plan, to a certain degree, it doesn't matter who's lining up. It's really them playing themselves because they just have they can throw the ball short, they can throw the ball long, they can run the ball to the inside, they can run the ball outside. So really, talk about getting off to a fast start, getting off to the right start is winning that coin toss and just executing on offense.
Who leads them to the win tomorrow? Who's going to be the team leader, you think, in this game? It has to be the quarterback always, but again, as a whole, because they haven't mentioned much of Alex or Terrell Anderson, the senior leadership they have. They've been in these big games before. Who leads this team to the win tomorrow? Who do they look to be the leader? And it may be more than one guy.
Yeah, I think they look on the defensive side. I feel confident in the offense. You know, they can get 4 scores. You know, they can score once a quarter. I'm confident that they can get to 28 points. You know, can they match maybe what Hough can do production-wise? So again, I'm going to look at Eason on the defensive line. I'm going to look at McLaughlin or Sellers on the edges. You know, from a safety position, going out there and shutting some drives down. So I do think the defense. It's a good matchup, Grimsley's defense against this Hough offense, because you have an inexperienced quarterback, doesn't throw the ball a ton. They really just want to throw when they have to, so they can get after the run game, get them bogged down. And then on the offensive side, you know, we haven't seen a ton of Terrell Anderson in jet sweeps, in running motions. They
haven't had to use that.
How many times have I come on this show and said Darryl Brown's biggest problem for the Whirlies is they only got one football?
Absolutely. Hard to split that ball up and play it still, yeah.
Faison Brandon can make plays with his legs. Mitchell Summers hasn't caught any balls out of the backfield. You know, DJ Howerton, tallest guy in the team, working the middle as a tight end. He's only has 3 catches all year. So, yeah, they got it. Just so many guys on offense. Depending on what the Hough defense looks like, kind of dictates what the play is, how many hats are in the box per se. But I'd never count these wide receivers out. You get the ball within that catch radius that they have, and they're going to make some plays.
Gonna let you make some plays tomorrow night. Good to see you as always, Mike. Excellent job. 3 takeaways about tomorrow night's game at the website right now. And tomorrow night after the game, 3 takeaways and the wrap up on the game. You got it all covered.
Yep.
FANNING, Mike Fanning, GreensboroSports.com. Also broadcasting tomorrow night from Grimsley. He and his partner Chase Williams. No JP Monday this year.
No JP.
What happened to that guy?
This year. He had some work conflicts, but we'll get him back.
Get him back. Mike, we're going to have you back too. Thank you much.
All right. Thank you, Andy.
Excellent job. We got Enad Dad coming next.